Zdravейте. You might be thinking, so Hairless, what is that word you just said? I said hello in Bulgarian because last night Bulgaria won Eurovision 2026. Today is the 17th of May, the morning after the Eurovision final. I haven't watched Eurovision in several years now, but when I heard Bulgaria won, I simply had to come on and check it out. Why? Well, as you can see, I'm in a Bulgarian t-shirt. Bulgaria is a country that I have been to every year of my life, pretty much. On the screen, I'll put some photos of me there throughout the years. So hearing them win Eurovision is a bit crazy. And it wasn't just a win. They won by a landslide, it seems. The song is by Dara, and the song is called Bangaranga. Apparently, it stems from the Jamaican patois word bangarang, which means riot or disturbance. Here are the lyrics on the screen, which do seem very fitting.
Welcome to the riot. Come alive, surrender to the blinding lights. No one's gonna sleep tonight. Welcome to the riot. I'm the Bangara, Bangaranga, Bangaranga, Bangaranga. I'm the Bangara, Bangaranga, Bangaranga, Bangaranga. I'm the Bangara, blinding lights. Welcome to the riot. I'm the Bangara. I'm the Bangara. I'm an angel. I'm a demon. I'm a psycho. When I resign.
Wow. I mean, where to start with this, really? Like I said, I have not watched Eurovision in several years. I've seen a few songs over the years. I've not seen any songs from this year. You just never know what to expect, do you? Just where we paused, this bit here, she's talking about being a demon.
I'm a demon. I'm a psycho. When I
That just really reminds me of another song. The rhythms, the instrumentation. Let me just show a short few second clip because of copyright.
a demon. I have a demon. I don't want to.
Funny how just a little bit of a song can trigger memories of a different song in your brain. All right, well, where to start with this one? I've done one other Eurovision video on my channel. That was the 2024 winner, Nemo. Their song was called The Code. That was really cool and interesting. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment to my video if you're interested in checking that out afterwards. And that song was quite crazy, just in a very different way to this one. So I'm just really intrigued what's to come here. We're about 1/3 through, roughly. Will it stay the same? Will there be vastly different sections? I don't know. Firstly, though, I will need help with these, is they masks? At first, I thought it was sellotape wrapped around their face, but this weird makeup with the big red lips and the blue around the eyes. It's almost clown-like, quite horrifying, to be honest. Why? I guess it's to just enhance the shock factor of everything and this idea of rebellion and, I don't know, you know, kind of dystopian. Maybe if we're to go a bit deeper, showing that, I don't know, imperfection is fine, something like that. I have no idea. So if you know exactly the purpose of that, please let me know. It will be interesting to hear all of your thoughts. Also, I'm going to play a little section that we just saw, and let's focus on the dance moves. Of course, that's a big part, but the dance moves are kind of a result of the style of the music.
Bangara.
So that bit there in particular, with the arms coming out like that, immediately reminds me of Bangra music and Bangra dancing. The instrumentation and the rhythms are sort of repeated note that we're hearing, syncopated on the offbeats. Again, stylistically very similar to Bangra music, at least from the tiny amount of Bangra music I know. And this song being called Bangaranga, I mean, come on, that cannot be a coincidence, surely. Bangra music is, of course, different origins to Bangaranga from Jamaican patois. But yeah, it cannot be coincidence. There was an act on Britain's Got Talent from many years ago. It was super popular in school. I remember we did a dance recreation of it, but that was Bangra music, Bangra dancing. I'll show a short clip, again, a few seconds because of copyright, and hopefully you'll see what I mean. So yeah, very interesting Bulgarian Eurovision song with supposedly Jamaican patois and Bangra influence. That was not on my cards for today, a few hours ago when I woke up. All right, we'll carry on in just a second, but I just want to go over a couple of bits with the music. Let's go back to the start. The introduction, I thought it was very cool, very suspenseful. She's upside down. Well, more likely the dancers are upside down, but you know, a bit of confusion in your head. Chaos, entropy, disruption to the normal everyday way of living. The music though, we have these sustained synth chords. She has a legato, a smooth way of singing.
Come alive, surrender to the blinding lights. No one's gonna sleep tonight. Welcome to the riot.
And then the music comes off as she says, welcome to the riot. Something fairly foreboding about it. The chord progression, so the chords that we're hearing, quite simple, but effective. That final chord I played is this chord, but we're still hearing this note in there, which is turning it into quite a dissonant chord. And that's her melody as well, that's her singing that. All those three chords I played are linked together by this note. Keep your eye on this note. Which is very important because as soon as she says welcome to the riot and then we carry on, listen to the bass note. It's that same note. Like a pulse. Dum 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 dum. Never moving. Those three chords, that's pretty much all the harmony we've had so far, so they're keeping things fairly simple in that regard. I feel the song is more about the energy through the rhythms, the choice of instrumentation, the melody, the singing, of course, and with a performance like this, certainly the show, the aesthetic, the dancing, the choreography, the visuals. Very intriguing so far. Let's carry on and see what the rest is about.
Angel, I'm a demon, I'm a psycho, I'm a reason, I'm a mover, I'm a teaser, I don't follow, I'm the leader, let me hype you up, let me hype you up, I'ma let you get to hook, I'ma live your shoe. Come alive, surrender to the blinding lights, no one's gonna sleep tonight, welcome to the riot. I'm the Bangaranga, 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 I'm the Bangaranga, 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 I'm the Bangaranga. Welcome to the riot. I'm the Bangaranga. I'm the Bangaranga. I'm the Bangaranga. Close to the edge, I can feel it inside. Body.
Okay, seems like a bit of a changed section now. That would be cool. We're about 2/3 of the way through. Okay. Not really too many new musical ideas in the second third or so that we've just heard. Again, I feel this song, or so much of it, is really about the choreography. Anytime I pause, there'll just be some weird things going on in the background. Like, look, the dancers, they've got chairs on their back. At the start, they were upside down, their legs in the air. It's really a visual spectacle. I think we can all agree on that. When we have the moments that are smoother, more legato, the same musical idea that we got in the opening of the song, especially as the song progresses, we can hear how important it is to have the backing harmonies in the backing track. This is not a critique. It's only natural that if you're a singer and you're dancing around the stage high energy, your vocals will suffer a tiny bit. Suffer is a very dramatic word, but I just mean you're going to have like less support than if you're sitting perfectly still singing, right? You're out of breath, you're moving around. So let's listen here.
Come alive, surrender to the blinding lights. No one's gonna sleep tonight. Welcome to the.
And I'm being pernickety, I know, but there's just some shakiness to the sound that we can hear. But having the backing harmonies in the backing track, sung in her head voice, a softer, airier sound, it's a completely different sound to how her live voice is sounding.
Come alive, surrender to the blinding lights.
And there are multiple backing harmony voices as well. Some are super, super quiet, so if you're not wearing headphones, you probably can't hear them. The backing harmonies, though, are a really nice touch. I think they are so, so important to the sound and a complete contrast to what we're hearing elsewhere in the music with that pulsating bass. Dum, 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 dum. So rhythmic. Of course, the rhythms are hugely important when we consider the percussion here as well. And with the rhythms being hugely important, it's so effective when they slow down the tempo and then gradually speed it up. We'll hear that in the change of section now. So very strict.
I'm the Bangaranga.
We can hear and see that things have slowed down ever so slightly. The music sections have changed, that's obvious. Think about the instrumentation, everything else. But it's a very subtle decrease in tempo, which gradually speeds up here. If we go forward a few seconds, we can really feel that. And these voices as well, that we just heard, very interesting. Are they saying riot? I didn't hear a T at the end. I don't know what they're saying, but they stood out to me. And if something stands out, it's engaging, right?
When I resign, I'm a mover, I'm a teaser, I don't follow, I'm the leader, let me help you.
Interesting style of singing. This is what I would call speak singing. It's not quite speaking, it's not quite singing. She is in between. It seems like speaking or rapping in a way, but there is a sort of half melody attached to it. It's not just talking like this, which would be difficult to assign a pitch to every word I'm saying. We can assign a pitch or a note to every word that she is singing. It's just a bit more difficult, and she's often kind of changing notes mid-word. So yeah, speak singing is the term that I go for. And it's the same for the Bangaranga bit. Her notes are basically but it's much more subtle due to how she's singing. We do have instruments in the background, which are the same notes that I just demonstrated up the octave. And we can hear the slight discrepancy at moments between her and those notes, which I think perfectly illustrates an example of what I would call speak singing. And of course, that's a big contrast to the smoother legato bits, which are all about the melody and the harmony. Yeah, very interesting song. Not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. So I think let's just finish this one off. We had a bit of a changed section, which is cool to see.
Bangaranga, 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 Bangaranga. I'm the Bangaranga. Welcome to the riot. I'm a Red Bull, I'm a danger, I'm over for freedom. Let me light you up, let me light you up. Come on, let me pull on so deep. I'ma leave you weak. I'm the Bangaranga. I'm the Bangaranga. I'm the Bangaranga.
Well, that was quite something, and I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what or why. I've got a bit of the old goosebumps there. The song definitely grew on me, and that final section, that completely changed, especially in terms of the harmony. I think harmony is the most important thing when it comes to music. You change the harmony of a song and it just completely transforms the feel. I think was super, super effective.
I'm a Red Bull, I'm a danger, I'm over for freedom.
Complete change of everything. We have the choir coming in the background. It's almost like out of a film score or something. Very, very dramatic. Super effective, I think. Almost surprisingly so. There were a few other key moments from that final third that I'd like to point out. I laughed a little bit. I'm not laughing at the song. I was laughing at this dancer. Oh, he is loving it. That was funny. That was good. If we move back a little bit. Quite a subtle, almost yodel there. And a yodel, by definition, is rapidly fluctuating between your chest voice and your head voice. In singing, it can sometimes sound a bit like a crack if you do it just once or quickly enough. Yeah, very subtle there. I like it. And in between those two changed sections that I just showed, the bit at the end with the different harmony and the bit with the little almost yodel in it, we have...
I'm the Bangaranga, 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 Bangaranga.
I was literally thinking at that moment, okay, it's growing on me. It's catchy. I think it is just catchy. The more you listen to it, the more you will just want to go, Bangaranga, Bangaranga. I pointed out the melody of it before. And that's a chromaticism, which we also get Do, da, 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 dum. Chromaticism, which basically just means consecutive notes. So when you do a chromatic rise and fall, very simple but effective tool in music, I think it can really add a level of darkness to the sound. And in a song about rioting, yeah, appropriate. Also, rhythmically, they do a hemiola. So the song 1, 2, 1, 2, a hemiola is where you take one of these bars of 1, 2 and turn it into 3 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Well, there we go. That was quite the show. Crazy choreography, crazy just everything. The song definitely grew on me. At the start, I was thinking, yeah, this is not really my cup of tea. I'm going to listen to it a few more times and see how I feel at the end of a few more listens, but it's definitely catchy, definitely growing on me. Some interesting things in there for sure musically. Whether you're more interested in the rhythms or the choreography or the harmony or the lyrics, you will be able to find a lot of interesting things in this song. Is the song a worthwhile Eurovision winner? I cannot say. I do not know. I've not seen any of the other songs. So if you enjoy this video, you want to see me do more Eurovision, then please comment down below and recommend other songs that I should check out. If you don't want to write any words, leave an emoji down below. Do the Bulgarian flag. If YouTube doesn't allow that, because sometimes it doesn't allow flags, then do any sort of dancing emoji. Hopefully see a lot of them down there. Thank you very much if you're watching. You made it this far. Would really appreciate a like on the video, and I'll see you in the next one.